Right here from Hornet Stadium, and we're going to try this again. Sorry about the connectivity issues. We will not have these connectivity issues once we get up there in that press box. We're just a little too far away from the Wi-Fi modem down here. But we are now joined by Coach Brian Maumelle as well as Senior Elijah Newell. We appreciate you guys joining us, and we're excited to be able to highlight the program. So we were talking, we'll just erase everything we just talked about 10 minutes ago while y'all weren't here. We'll just start all over. But we're excited to be here tonight. We're really an opportunity to kind of to promote the heck out of Maumelle and Mills tonight. PCSSD is kind of in a spotlight tonight between two broadcasts as well as the Fearless Friday crew who's here. And nothing against those guys, but I hope nobody watches them. Nobody should watch them tonight. You want to go back and watch Wes. If you're a fan of Wes, fine. Wes, good dude. But I really, I'd prefer you watch us. Obviously, the Mills folks have gotten used to hearing our buddy Trip Keeter, and our Maumelle folks should know who Trip is, obviously, as he did a lot of basketball with us and a little football with us last year. So we're excited to be able to be here and promote athletics here at PCSSD and especially Maumelle. And I know you guys have got to be excited. Let's talk about first. We haven't been here in like a month. It's got to feel good to finally be home again.
Yeah, it feels good to be at home. The scheduling gods were not on our favor. Tough draw, and then like you said, we hadn't even been home in over a month. But we're excited to be back. Hadn't given up a point on this field yet this year. We don't plan to start now.
So let's go back a minute, and we'll talk a little bit about last week, and then we'll kind of look at the way the season's gone so far this year. So going into that Pine Bluff game, I'll be honest, I'm sure a lot of people across the state looked at that game and went, yeah, Pine Bluff is Pine Bluff. They are who they are. A lot of D1 athletes on that field, a lot of really good players. Coach Williams done a good job. You guys really got in there and took it to them. Outside of some mistakes here and there that I know as a coach you're frustrated, as a senior you may be frustrated with, but you got to feel good about the way that game went, even not getting the W at the end.
Yeah, the biggest thing is it's just more proof. I tell the guys every week, it's Maumelle versus Maumelle. There's nothing, and no offense to Coach Williams and that very talented bunch, there's nothing they did that presented any problems to us. It's just us being our own best advocate or worst enemy. And so we got to take care of the football. You couldn't play the, school. Nah, I'm not going to say that. You couldn't play a really bad team and turn the ball over 7 times and win. And so we have to do a better job of operating in our own world and our own universe. And what I tell the guys, this is our universe out here. We control everything that goes on. And the beauty of being at Maumelle, and I've told these guys this since I got here, is you decide every week whether you win or lose. There is no game on the schedule that cannot be won no matter how great we play. And there's no game on the schedule that can't be lost no matter how bad we play. And that's an exciting thing as a player and a coach, because your preparation, your attention to detail, your effort and physicality is what's going to decide the game every week. And we need to be better about deciding the outcome as a win. So just throughout that game, it's just glaringly obvious. We were not outclassed in any way. It was completely our fault. We take full responsibility for that.
Now, Elijah, I come to you, man, because I've had the honor of getting to follow you since your sophomore year.
Yes,
and I remember seeing you, obviously, on the basketball court and a lot of fun out there, getting to see you do your thing. And I didn't even know you were a football player. We come out here last year. You played sparingly a little bit here and there. You had your moments. I know you kind of went through some things with some injuries and stuff, but it seems like you've tried to make the most out of your senior year. Talk about what you felt like your senior year's gone so far this year and just what it's been like so far.
My senior year, it's been fun this year. Summertime, been working with my bros, my brothers. We got after it this summer. Yeah, that's really it.
What's your mentality been? Because I wouldn't say timid, but I know it's been a different guy this year. You obviously come out on this field and you look like a leader. You look like a guy that has taken on that role of a senior leader. What's that process been like for you?
I have a chip on my shoulder, really, because I got hurt last year. I couldn't play with my brothers last year, so I want them to look up to me and I want to be like him.
Now, you've scored touchdowns in a few different ways this year, right? You got a passing one, right?
Passing,
yeah,
rushing.
Yeah. And so looking for the receiving one still, right? Did we get one of those? Got one of those, okay. Defensively, and we still need a return one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're trying to get all of them knocked out. But what's your favorite thing to do when you're out on the football field?
I just like to play.
Okay.
Can't even lie, I just like to play. Well, I do like defense because I get to hit somebody.
I was about to say, I want to hear the hit. I know this man wants to hear the hitting part. I want to hit somebody.
I do like to hit. Offense, embarrassing somebody.
You've had a few opportunities for that. Talk about Mills tonight. Obviously a big matchup in this game. It means a lot. 0-2 in conference play. You really kind of get on the other end to try to roll. Obviously Whitehall's sitting in that 4-hole right now in a pretty good spot. We kind of gave that one away. Talk about this Mills team. I'll start with you, Coach. What are some of the problems that they're going to present to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is they do a good job of spreading the love, getting the ball out in space, getting their guys chances. Thing we've told our guys is we're going to have a very sound and creative scheme, but at the end of the day, we're going to put them in positions to be in one-on-one favorable matchups, and we just got to make those plays, whether that's in one-on-one pass rush situations, one-on-one blocking situations, one-on-one coverage situations, one-on-one tackling situations. We just have to break the game down to those, numerous one-on-ones going on across the field, and then we have to just make the play. They present some problems. I've been going against this core group, Ringo and the boys, since they were freshmen in the playoffs, and the maturation, he's done a great job. I told his coaches last week at a junior high game that I really thought from his freshman year to this year he's progressed a lot and really grown. But the beautiful thing looking at the schedule, man, is we control our own destiny. We can go 8-2, put ourselves in a really great position. We just need to win a couple games and get this thing rolling.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously starts here. This is big. I mean, I think you got to have a lot of confidence because you talked about the Pine Bluff game and the turnovers, and that's been a big key. And you clean those up, and you're obviously in it's a whole nother level for you at that point because once you clean those things up, you've obviously got a much better opportunity. Against Mills, what you don't want to do is give up the big play. That's been their go-to. Trip, you've seen a lot of it. Obviously, every single week, the big play, a lot of emotions, and we'll get a chance to talk with Coach Lee and Achilles here in just a little bit. But Elijah, going into this game, what's the mindset of the team? What's been the message all week long?
Physical and have fun. Be physical and have fun.
There you go. Yeah, and I got to think, Coach, you had to have liked what you saw, at least from your defensive front last week. Really got a lot of pressure on Holcomb in that backfield and shut down anything they wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to put a whole game together as a unit, but if you look at the stats, on 15 drives for Pine Bluff, they only scored on 4 of them. So you can stop a team like that, 11 drives out of 15. That's winning football. Now we just need to put a whole game together and play complementary ball. So really, like I said, it's not that you take encouragement from a loss, but we never get outclassed. There hasn't been a single game since I've been here where we're just like, we can't compete with these guys. And so it's just pushing through, giving that winning effort, making those winning plays, those winning blocks, those winning routes, those winning catches, those winning tackles that are going to actually produce good, solid wins against really good football teams. That's going to take us to the next level. So, Elijah, let me get a prediction from you. Which one are you going to get first? And not necessarily in this game, but what are you going to get first? We're going to get the defensive touchdown, or we're going to get the return touchdown?
Defensive.
Okay.
Defensive.
All right.
He's lying. He's taking a punt back tonight. Book it. Book it.
Tonight,
set your DVR.
Punt.
All right, taking the punt back. All right. Well, fellas, I appreciate you guys joining us. I know y'all got a lot to do to get set and ready for tonight, and you took some time out to work with us and get in on this pregame show. So we appreciate it, and we look forward to tonight's matchup and highlighting some more great Maumelle football tonight.
Amen. Appreciate y'all having us. Thanks for everything you do for these kids.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's Coach Brian Maupin as well as Elijah Newell here with us, and we appreciate you guys joining us, and we look forward to the ball game here in just a little bit. All right.
Good job, brother, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Hopefully they'll CGI your face so you don't look so ugly.
Appreciate you, man. All right, Trip. We're just about ready. He's on 2.
I've been muted.
We rotated on you. We messed you up.
Will pulled a Terry.
Oh, no. Oh, goodness gracious. So I think Darius is hunting for me. So if he calls anybody, he just called me, but I'm not allowed to answer my phone.
Yeah, he just called me, too.
You can call me back. Just say, hey, show up over there where the red 10 is. But, all right, so I'm going to get back now that we got things all mixed and matched and messed up. I'm going to go back the other way. I want to talk a little bit about what we were talking about at the outset. And Trip, if you'll pull up our notes over there.
Gotcha.
And go through the standings right now in the 5A Central, because I think they're at the bottom of those notes.
Yep.
Go through those standings, obviously, and this is where we sit coming into tonight.
Right. tonight. So Mills is number 1 in the 5A Central, coming in 5-0 overall, 3-0 in conference play, and Maumelle 2-2 on the year, 0-2 in conference play, and they are the Hornets are number 6. So it's number 1 versus number 6 in the conference.
And it's interesting when you look across the 5A Central right now. I think we showed last week, and obviously, this is a big moment for Mills, and we'll talk with Achilles and with Coach Lee about that once they get here. But you think about it, this is a big moment. You go back to last week, you had to exert a lot in that Whitehall game.
Yes,
it took a lot to get that. You had to come back from 11 points down with 5 minutes to go in that ball game. It was a fantastic comeback.
Oh yeah,
you guys did a phenomenal job on the call. I hope you guys will watch these guys again tonight. We want our Maumelle folks to watch us. Make sure our Mills folks watch them. We love everybody that joins us. But what a game! But then you get this game. This, in a lot of ways, could be a trap game for Mills. Obviously, everything they had to put out last week, and then we know what it looks like next week with Pine Bluff having to go to Pine Bluff. Stick this Maumelle game in the middle. This is a dangerous game for Mills.
Absolutely, and as you mentioned, we got Pine Bluff next week. It's on the road at Pine Bluff. So that's obviously a distraction for the Comets coming in, because we know how big of a rivalry that is. It's a big deal down in Pine Bluff when Mills comes to town. So it's obviously a big distraction for the Comets for this week's game. And obviously, Coach Maupin has built a culture here. It's a winning culture. And the Hornets have been hungry all season. And as Coach said, they haven't allowed a point here all season, and they don't want that to change tonight. So the Hornets are coming in hungry tonight.
Yeah, as they should. And like I said, I mean, it's an interesting place where the games lay out, because obviously, and Maumelle's not in a great spot either. They had to go to Pine Bluff next week, Mills this week. We get to go to Robinson next week.
Right.
So it doesn't get any easier. And like Maupin was talking about, that this stretch where you can end up 8-2 on the season. We can end up 6-2 in conference play, and so you'd be in a really good position, obviously, if you can get to that point. But this game's important, and I think it's really important for both teams. A lot of times you can look back and say, well, Mills could drop this one and be okay. But we've seen just how dynamic the 5:30 rivalries can be.
Oh, yeah.
Watson Chapel was a 7-point game at the halftime, 7-0 game. Now, obviously, Mills went on, dominated, 35-0 victory. But then you add to that, you go to the next week's game against Pine Bluff, well, even Whitehall last week, and how tough that game was. And obviously there's the personal piece of that, where you've got a lot of kids that are from that stretch, from exit 3 to exit 37. There's a lot of kids that maybe should be going to Pine Bluff or Watson Chapel or even Whitehall or Winter Whitehall. I mean, Kel Madison is going to be the biggest piece of the night, I think, for this Mills team on the field. He's a young man that came here from there, So you look at those. Look what we got here! Look what we got here! Darius going to show up in the scrubs and all. So is he in the right spot there, Will? Okay. So excited to have Darius, and now you guys get the entire crew here from Mills, and so now you get to put faces with the voices of of your Mills Sports Network. So first off, guys, you guys have done a phenomenal job this season. We appreciate y'all. And I know, Darius, it's funny. We were joking earlier in the week that, the first time you were going to put a headset on, you were real nervous. Now you're like yelling, screaming, having a good old time, man.
It's been awesome, man.
Move that closer.
Last year during basketball season for Seven Hills, Will tried to pass me the mic, and I was like, nah. And you asked me about it this year, and Tripp asked me about it, and it's been a smooth transition coming off the camera and coming on to the mic. So it's been awesome, and the Mills coming fan base, they have made it welcoming, and you have made it welcoming. So, and got my guy Trimmers to do it all. He's for sure has made it welcoming for me. So it's been an exciting season so far. Well,
and I'll tell you, we were talking about this earlier. 9,000 views on that Whitehall game last week. I believe we'd have to go back and look at last year's. I think it was the Robinson PA game. I think it cleared 10,000 views. I'm not 100% certain about that, but if not, you guys may have taken the first place in the most views of any of our games so far since we started the PCSSD Sports Network. I think you got to go all the way back to that Lake Hamilton Sylvan Hills game, Will, to come anywhere near those numbers. I think we were over the time. I think we've hit 15,000, 20,000 on that one, but outside of that, it's been interesting. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, 5A state tournament, obviously having Nick Smith and those guys against Maumelle in the semis was that did some views as well.
Yeah.
But for the PCSSD Sports Network, we've not had anything like it, and so that game was a lot of fun. Now, I was telling Tripp earlier, I was kind of giving you a hard time. You got super excited on that last touchdown, and all of a sudden it sounded like Darius was talking into a tin can over there because I think he half took his headset off running around. He was so excited up there in the booth.
Oh, it was a fade ball for game.
Oh yeah, it was. I've never seen a high school game like that before, especially growing up going to Heber Springs. It was normally either we were on the other end of a blowout or we were getting blown out. That's normally how it was. So that was probably the most exciting high school game I have ever seen. And also just having so many people there. Every time D-Rob would show me our live chat, the viewership was getting higher and higher and higher. So I was a little nervous during that game, honestly. But it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of great fans with us, a lot of Whitehall and Mills fans all together, and that 12 seconds left touchdown to cap it all off just was the cherry on top.
I'm telling you, next week may blow all those numbers out of the water if things go the way we think they will. So it should be really interesting. So we are – where'd he go? We're waiting on Coach
He walked
Horton.
away. He was here.
He must have had an emergency.
Here he comes. He's over there.
There he comes. He heard me. He
felt the disturbance in the force.
So excited. We'll have Coach Horton on here in just a minute, and we're going to talk with Coach Horton a little bit about the facilities upgrades going on over here at Maumelle. It's been a work in progress, but we're excited. We are super excited.
I pulled up. I was like, oh, wow.
All right. We are now joined by Athletic Director Mr. Kirk Horton, and we'll let Will hit that unmute button over there. Nope, Kayla will because she's ahead of the game. All right. See, we need a boot camp for that. But anyway, all right. Well, Coach, we appreciate you joining us.
Absolutely. It's been a little while. I've kind of been anxious for this. I haven't been on the mic in a while.
I was about to say, you should be a veteran. We went through like a whole season of our own coaches show, and some of those weeks were interesting. So this is easy. This is just lay back, talk about these beautiful facilities you got coming in, and talk about what Coach Maupin is building over here on this football program as well.
A lot of good things going on at Maumelle. I mean, you look at a campus now; it looks like a college. I mean, not even a small college. I mean, I think D1 action could happen here. We got baseball and softball ready for play now. They're already practicing out there. If you look behind us here, you got indoor coming in. It's looking great. Should be done soon. We also have a standalone track with a practice field that we could do soccer and football and a lot of other activities on too. So. It's been a long time coming for our coaches. They've had to share facilities, and they've done a real good job working together. But everybody's got their own space now, and it's going to really help us flourish.
Well, and you talk about sharing space. It's been crazy. I mean, I've been here for most of it, but, fortunate, unfortunate, I guess, throughout the process of us building this network, and it's been interesting to see. I remember when I first got here, I don't remember who it was that said it, but I remember somebody was like, yeah, it'd be great if we can actually get some facilities over here because somewhat it feels like when you drive down this road and you get back here, it feels like you're kind of at a jail or something. Like it's just this big random concrete building back here in the middle of nowhere, woods all around it. And now you drive up and it's just it's incredible. I was telling Tripp earlier, one of the coolest sights you're going to see when you leave this stadium tonight is all the lights lit up over here from the baseball field and the water, the sprinklers going. It is incredible. I mean, and it fits with our D1 press box we got over here, and so really excited to see what these guys are able to do because, again, it's been you just go back to even last year trying to get turf, or a couple years ago trying to get turf here and having to practice at Robinson, having to miss, the first 3 or 4 games of the season, having to, travel all over the place because of that, and then baseball having to play wherever we could find a place to play for the most part, and same thing with softball, and so now to have everything right here on campus has got to feel good for you as an athletic director.
Absolutely, and I've lived it. I mean, when I first started, it was Oak Grove still. This was new, and I got to see the whole process. A lot of coaches, like Coach Shook's been here the whole time. There's been a lot of other coaches here that have kind of seen the whole process, and so we could always kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. We knew we had something special here, and the district putting in this money towards it, and it's going to make everything right.
So, you mentioned Coach Shook. I mean, if he goes out and wins the state championship with all them studs he's got over there, you have to build him a new arena, right?
Hey, listen, there's no idle hands because I'm not coaching anymore. I'll put my talents to the next use for sure. We're happy to have all these things, but we're trying to make everything better every day too. So we're trying to do our part and be good stewards to the community too, and develop those relationships and get more people at the games, and have more vested interest from the community.
Absolutely. Talking about getting that invested interest from the community, obviously that's a big piece of what we're trying to do at Maumelle. This is a big part of it, obviously, with the sports network and trying to bring. We're in a unique situation. I mean, the school's not been here. What's the total years for the school?
It was built in 2011.
Yeah.
So still relatively new.
Yeah. So I mean, you don't even really have time to have had one full class of alumni come through from K through 12. To be, this would be the first time that you'd have a graduating class who could potentially have been from K through 12, and so it's been interesting to try to build that alumni base here to continue. And you've got some great stewards of that, obviously, guys like Jack Langford and I'm gonna butcher some names here, but there's plenty of guys out on the Booster Club who really, and ladies, who work really hard to continue to try to promote Maumelle football, Maumelle athletics in general. And so this has been a fun kind of journey for us to continue to help try to build that alumni base and bring some of those folks back who may have forgotten that they went to Maumelle.
Well, we've got a great booster club that, when they first started, I mean, it'd been real easy for them to say, I don't know if I want to get involved with that, but they've really stayed the course, and we've got the frameworks to raising money well, and also having those that community support, those community outreaches we can do, and having that support is great. These kids deserve that. But I think we're still in infancy. I mean, JB Minix is coaching on our staff. He was our starting quarterback when we went undefeated in conference back in 2014. So we're starting to get that step of alumni. We're starting to get, when we get the next generation coming through here, then we're a traditional school then, and then we have some norms, and we've got these good things we've got going. We'll keep that momentum, and we'll have all the things in place to where we've got alumni nights, and we've got my dad played here and was on this team that did this, and so when you start getting that kind of stuff, it's going to be real sweet.
Well, and obviously building part of that is building great programs, and you've been able to step back from the coaching role and put all of your hands fully in onto this athletic director, and it's been interesting to be able to sit back and watch from our perspective as well, of you getting to handle all of these things, put your hand in all those, and not have to be so focused, and we're in such a great position. I mean, you look at, obviously basketball is loaded right now. We can sit here and talk all day about the athletes they got. I just saw Jacob Lanier got his 13th D1 offer yesterday from Kansas State. So he just continues to blow up. And I mean, there's guys like Jordan Harris, Markaylin Rochelle, Bubba Johnson on the football field. You can go on and on what's going on over there. You got multiple Arkansas, commitments on the baseball side of things. Coach White's doing a phenomenal job with the softball team, really starting to build that program. Soccer's done really good over the last couple of years. And then we turn to football, and you had a really big decision to make, obviously, making the hire of Coach Maupin and what he's been able to, kind of transition this program into and putting his own stamp on it. How do you feel about the job Maupin's done so far and where this program's headed?
Well, I knew when we hired Coach Maupin, he's a good young coach, and the players were going to follow him, and he's come as advertised. He's that and then some. He's going to show up to work every day. He's going to have a great relationship with the kids, and he's trying to get them place where they want to go. He's trying to get them that next level, and that's, I want to play for a coach like that. I want to play for a coach that's going to get me to the next level and cares about what I'm going to do next, not just with the time I have with them.
It's funny. I'll tell a quick story because you talk about getting the players to the next level, and that's been the cool part. And that was one of the things that I really loved whenever I was able to research what Maupin had done. But when you hired him and we brought him onto the coaches show and really got to kind of pick his brain a little bit, but his love for the kids and his ability to help them market themselves and move themselves to the next level has been just absolutely tremendous. And I remember that we were joking about the story of the car and how he was needing a new car because he'd put all these hundreds of thousands of miles on the one he had. And we were joking a few weeks ago about his car and all of that, then the other. And he texted me on the way up because we had talked about it on a broadcast. And I think it was the Robinson game. And they were on their way home and they were watching the broadcast. And he called me. He said, "You're not going to believe what happened." He said, "I get all the way to the school and I hit a deer."
I think the deer hit him on that.
It sounded like the deer hit him. So, I was like, maybe we got somebody who wants to kind of donate a car towards Maupin at some point in the next year or two, help him out a little bit, because I'm not sure how many more deer strikes that thing can take.
No, it's got a few Band-Aids on it for sure, and not talking about Dylan this time.
Good old Band-Aid. We can never forget Band-Aid, and that's a story that we'll tell a million times throughout history. So we'll never forget it. But, well, Coach, you've done a great job with this program, and we appreciate everything you've done for us and getting us to this position, obviously being a huge part of Maumelle. And really, I go back to, a lot of people, I talk to a lot of people about where we got our start. And obviously our first game we ever did was down in Sheridan. We had a lot of fun. Lakeside Sheridan was such a fun game. And it was funny. I came out here week 0. And I was just covering the Sylvan Hills Maumelle game that week. And I jumped between like 4 different games. And I'd never been here. And I walk out and I look at that press box. I'm like, okay, we got to do a game there. And so we leave and I pull it up and there's like a whole Maumelle Hornet Sports something channel on YouTube. And I'm like, oh man, they already got a broadcast. And we pull it up and I was like, oh, they don't have much of a broadcast. And so I reached out to Horton. He's like, yes, please come, please help us out. And so from that day forward, it's been a great relationship. And you guys have been great to us and a key as to why we've got the PCSSD Sports Network now. So we really appreciate you.
Well, absolutely. This was all about doing the best thing we could do for kids, and you've taken us to a new level for what you bring to the table for the kids. So, we've always been on the same page with that. We've had a good relationship, and it's been really easy to work with you. So we appreciate all the things you do for our kids.
Yes, sir. Well, we're bringing we're promoting it all tonight. I mean, we got the drone out going tonight. He's getting all the facilities. I think we're going to have at least 2, maybe 3 field level cameras going tonight. So on top of that, with the Fearless crew being here, so we're looking forward to being able to promote some Hornet football tonight.
Sounds good.
All right. Appreciate you, Coach. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir. Appreciate
it. All right. Kirk Horton, Athletic Director of Maumelle High School, joining us. We appreciate him. And we will take a quick break. And we'll be back with we'll talk a little bit, and we'll find out where Coach Lee and Achilles Ringo are. All right, welcome back, folks, to our pregame show here on the Natural State Sports Network, and we are going to be joined by Coach Cortez Lee here in just a couple of minutes. And you know what? I might just step back since I did all the talking and let y'all talk to Coach Lee and Achilles, because we only got one headset. So yeah. Or we'll kick Darius off again. Be like, Darius, you got to go, man.
I don't know, man. He's both the brains and the bronze of our broadcast. So I don't know if we want to kick him off.
All right. Well, let's look over some stats here. I know you've got I think you had the matchup stats in front of you over there. Maybe I'm trying to get there. I think this one will take me there. Nope, that did not take me where I wanted to go.
I do have the comparison stats here right in front of me, though.
Okay. Well, I'll let you kind of go over those. Obviously, as we look at what Mills brings to the table here, we'll start there. High-flying offensive attack.
Oh, yes.
We've seen – you guys have seen a lot from them, so I'm going to let you guys talk a lot on this Mills squad and exactly what they bring to the table.
So the Comets are coming in with an average of 363 passing yards a game. I did not stutter there. 363 passing yards per game, and that's all due to the fact to the senior quarterback, Achilles Ringo. I believe he's leading the state in passing yards this season,
yes.
And he is a stud. I mean, this guy, he can. When we watch him play and he drops back in the pocket, it looks like he's putting only like 50% effort on his passes, and they're still beautiful, completely accurate, always straight to the receiver. So, I mean, he's got a lot of potential to be great overall in the next level of play. And then, of course, we got his main target, Akil Madison, who is, I believe, leading the state also in receiving yards. So we got that dynamic duo on offense for the Comets. But they're not the only ones who've been making plays. We've got guys like Dylan Parks, Chauncey Haynes, and, of course, Razorback commit Charlie Collins, who's been playing both sides of the ball. He's gotten, I think he's got more rushing touchdowns than he does like sacks this season.
And he might.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's been really good. D-Rob, you got anything else to add on to that?
As far as that one go, he almost near that. He only has 7 sacks of the season, but he has 5 touchdowns already this year. And just like us speaking on like Mr. Ringo and Kill, I did some little research myself. Mr. Akil Ringo, he's number 29 in the country in passing right now.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Akil Madison is number 29 in receiving in the country right now. So, like, these numbers are off the chart right now. Mr. Ringo has been if not the best quarterback in Arkansas for maybe the past 2 years. So, like, he's exceeded expectations. And, like, I follow him on Twitter, and he kind of feel like he's underrated. And, like, I'm a numbers guy, and I'm all about on-field play, and he show it week in and week out.
And he has been underrated. I mean, and it's been that way for the last couple of years when you watch what Ringo does and the amount that he's done to grow. I mean, his growth, even from last year to this year, you look at last year, and this was a team that was very reliant on Jabray Shaw and QJ King. That's what made this team go. And then now, you know, obviously Jabray is at Arkansas now as a walk-on safety. I think QJ is at Arkansas Tech. I think that's right, yeah. And so you lose guys like that. But then you go out and you get an Akil Madison who shows up at Mills and has done amazing things. Javian Love's another guy. He's come on really big in the last couple of weeks, averaging almost 90 yards a game in the receiving game. So he's been a piece that's been huge. And I think that's been one of the biggest keys when you look at the difference between last year and this year, at least from my perspective for this Mills football team, and that is the number of athletes they have that can get out and beat you. Last year was 1 or 2 guys. This year it's take your pick. Whether it's Rodney Jackson, whether it's Akil Madison, Javian Love, Dylan Parks is another guy that's had a big start to the year. And we talk about all those guys, and we're not even talking about the biggest piece, really, in Charlie Collins, a guy who's committed to the University of Arkansas, who's going to do special things at the next level. I've been around another defensive lineman out of PCSSD that was special like that. His name's Nico Davier, and he's sitting up there at the U of A right now. He's a special young man. Charlie Collins got every bit of that and some. And he's going to be a lot of fun to watch at the next level.
Absolutely. And we also got to give some credit to the entire just defensive unit overall for Mills. I mean, those guys work hard every single game. And if you think they have, they've been back against the wall, they'll come back at you, and they'll keep fighting. And it shows, especially the last 2 games, where we were coming in at halftime at Watson Chapel, only a 7-0 lead, and then just bounce back and one, I believe it was like 41-7 or something like that. And then, of course, you had the 2 amazing stops late in the fourth quarter last week against Whitehall, which were huge. Topped off at the very end of the game at the final gun, an interception in the end zone by, I think it was Jalen Ento.
Jalen Ento, yeah.
Yeah, and he's been fantastic, too. He flies all over the field. He's almost every pass that's thrown, he's about to pick it off. I mean, he's just fast. He's got fly paper for hands, and he's playing on defense. So, I mean, these guys are special.
And the thing about Enzo is I think I was talking to Nick Huffman the other day. I think he's got some shoulder stuff going on. So there's been some issues with Jalen and his shoulder. Mm-hmm. And obviously they want to make sure he's as healthy as he can be before we get to basketball season because he's a big piece of that. You know, another guy that we haven't even talked to or not talked about, Chauncey Haynes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, think about the punt return last week. That changed the entire complexion of that football game. I mean, Whitehall was dominating. Mm-hmm. Physically, Whitehall was dominating. Athletically, they were dominating. And Chauncey Haynes really changed everything with that punt return.
Yeah, and that's why D-Rob chose him as the player of the game, because he gave the Comets just that spark to come back, because the atmosphere had changed. The stands were electric during the first half, but once Whitehall had a big lead, everyone thought, oh no, this might be, we might be done. Our undefeated run might be over. But then out comes Chauncey Haynes, and he just takes, I think it was 71 yards to the house, and that was probably like a 3-second touchdown. It felt like he was Sonic the Hedgehog running down the field. It was amazing, and so that's why we chose him to be our MVP of the game, because it was really just that spark, because the motivation seemed to be lost for the Comets, and then he came charging back, and then the rest is history.
All right, we are now joined by the head coach of the Mills Comets, Mr. Cortez Lee, and we'll let him get his headset on here and chat with Coach Lee a little bit as we've been talking up your guys over here, man. We've been talking good things about the guys and how great and dynamic the offense has been and how good the defense has been. We were just talking about Chauncey Haynes and how he was the difference maker on that punt return last week. But I'm gonna give you a minute to talk about your squad here, man. This has been a fun year already. Obviously, coming off of a really fun year last year, didn't end exactly where you wanted it to be. Tough finish against Shiloh Christian last year, but seems to be headed in that same direction this year for another great year for your Mills Comets.
Yeah, Steve. I just think each year presents its different challenges. I'm proud of the guys thus far. I think we've been executing. Had a few close calls here and there, but I think adversity is what builds a winning program.
Yeah, so, we were talking about it a minute ago. We go back and we look at the difference between last year's team and now this year's team. Last year's team felt really reliant on three, counting Achilles Ringo, Jabray Shaw, QJ King. Obviously, 3 guys that did everything. There was other guys involved, but those were 2 big names that left. And I think anybody around the state that followed Mills was like, man, how are they going to replace that? Like, that's hard. You don't replace Jabray Shaw and what he brought. But then you look out there, and now it feels like, and I remember talking to you before the season started, and one of the things you said was that you've got more guys. You feel like you got more depth, and it's shown already. Akel Madison is special. That's a great young man. Javian Love is another really, really good receiver. Dylan Parks is another guy. Rojack's another guy. We can sit here and continue to just name guy after guy, dude after dude. So you got to be excited to be able to put that many pieces now on the field this year.
Yeah, I think that when you have a plethora of talent and guys that are capable of taking it to the house, scoring, making big-time plays for your team, it's kind of hard to match up with that. I'll just say previously, having guys like Jabray Shaw, those guys are special. Whenever you get an opportunity to have players like that, I mean, you don't miss that chance. You execute with them and you game plan for them. But with that said, we have more depth this year, more exciting players. We're just looking for opportunities to get these guys the ball so we can make plays.
Now, Coach, you're 5-0 on the year, 3-0 in conference play, and you're coming off that big comeback victory in the fourth quarter against Whitehall. It seemed there in the second half, going into the second half of Whitehall, it was a bit of a wake-up call for your team. How much of a morale booster was it to have just a fight-to-the-end victory like that in the fourth quarter?
Man, it was huge. I think since I've been at the program, we've never quit. Regardless if we've won or lost, I've always seen these guys play to the end of the whistle, end of the clock. So with that said, whether we win or lose, we always want to have that type of mentality in our program, and it showed right there. That's not our first time coming back. Actually, the game that we played last year against them was similar. But overall, man, just proud of the guys being fearless, facing adversity, and coming out on top.
Now, it's really hard not to talk about your quarterback, Achilles Ringo. He has been killing it out there this year, especially it's his senior year, and he's the leading passer in the state right now. And so he obviously, as a leader on your team and also being a senior leading passer, there's a lot of weight on his shoulders. How is he handling that this season?
Ringo is calm. He's always been calm, almost too calm for me, type of quarterback that I like. I'd rather a guy have a little rah-rah in him, not too much because that position deals with poise, execution. But with that said, he's been in our program since his 9th grade year, starting, and I think that every time the bell comes up, he answers it. And every time he's made a big-time play when it counted, and we expect the same thing from him throughout the year.
Now, we kind of have an unsung hero that I want to bring up here. For the first time in your coaching career, you have a field goal kicker, Ricardo Gateson. He's been killing it out there. I saw in the first game against Blytheville, he was struggling a bit, but then he's improved every single game. So how vital is it and important to you as a coach to have someone who can actually go out there and kick field goals?
Well, throughout my whole career, I've always went for two. Darius played for me, one of my favorite players. I always called him my son because he wore number 4, the same number I wore. So I automatically just take a hold to any player that wears number 4. But on to the point, it's always great to have that weapon in your back pocket because 2 is not always promised because you have so many different barriers that can stop that. But Ricardo Gateson, we've coined him automatic. I hope we don't jinx him or anything like that. But having a guy that could get you 3 points, get you consistently PAT is real big for our program.
Now, let's see if I can ask you a better question here because these guys were laughing at me for this last one. So let's see.
That's great. my first thought is going back to QJ kicking the extra point. That's the first thing that I thought was that ball barely tipping over the crossbar.
Right. So they're coming up against a feisty Maumelle team. They may be 0-2 in conference play, but they're hungry. Coach Maupin has built a winning culture here. So what is offensively and defensively your game plan coming into this game tonight?
Once again, execution. Do what we do well. Really don't worry about the opponent too much outside of their key players and some of the plays that they like to run on their schemes. But other than that, I always think that if you do your part and put the pressure on that team, that's kind of how sports is. You know, sometimes you can worry about the other opponent too many times and not execute your game plan. So great job by Coach Maupin. I think he's building a good program. Great talent, nice players. So it should be a good game.
That's awesome. Thank you, Coach.
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of follows up or leads me to where I was going to ask you real quick before we let you go is, you know, obviously hard-fought game last week. You know, Whitehall had to come back. You guys aren't having a problem coming from behind. Obviously, I'm sure you'd probably like to see a little faster start tonight. It's been a little slow start in the last couple weeks. You know, Watson Chapel, you're really up 7-0 at the half. You know, last week it was a struggle until Chauncey took that punt return back and really until the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. Yeah. But then you look at this week, and probably for a lot of teams, it is easier to maybe let go of the rope a little bit when they see a 2-2, 0-2 Maumelle team coming in, and then look ahead at what you got next Friday night. And you never want your guys to look ahead. As a coach, you're never looking ahead. But this has got to be. I feel like this has maybe had to have been a bit of a struggle to get your team up and ready this week.
Yeah, so much energy was used in that game last week. So many different emotions, but each week presents a different challenge. So. We have something in our program called 1-0, and we talk about that all the time. So you really can't miss that mark. Whether we lost last week or won, we still would have to come back with a different approach, with a game mentality, and try to win this game right here. So you're right. Some of the points you made, Steve, sometimes you can be too high, sometimes you can be too low, but I think that's what sports is. Mm-hmm. And I always go back to that cliche, you know, sports, it builds a lot of character, exposes a lot of character as well. But with that said, it's a new challenge tonight.
Well, it's going to be a fun night under the lights here in Maumelle. Obviously, we were talking about with Coach Maupin, and we're doing a lot to promote this one tonight. Obviously, the pregame show, we got the drone going. I don't know if you've seen that. We got a drone up and going tonight, multiple field-level cams. Of course, the Fearless crew's here as well, but we're hoping everybody, all your Mills fans, better listen to these guys. Be all over that Mills Sports Network tonight. We got 2 of the best in the state right here. They're going to be calling it for you guys tonight.
Yeah, they belong to us now.
They're yours. They're yours, and they love it.
This is our new family, man. They with us. We about to get them some Mills gear.
Yes, sir.
These are guys right here.
Absolutely.
before you go, I want to go down. I want to stroll down memory lane. We know you, Werner. I know you, Werner. But when that clock is about to hit zeros, and you need a score, I'm gonna take you down memory lane. You said adversity build great teams. Do you remember what happened November 11th, 2011 versus Star City?
Darius, I think I have an idea. Oh, yes, most definitely. Davon Chapman. Yes, we were down. People were walking out of the stadium. We actually came back to have a chance to throw that ball. Down the sideline, looked real blurry. Didn't look like it was going to be caught. Fell in his hand, score. We go on to win the game. Pandemonium.
And,
Yes.
and it actually sent us to the playoffs, too.
Yes,
Hey.
it did. Yes,
Yes, sir.
Yes. I remember that. Yes, had to think for a minute. So many battles and so many games like that.
Absolutely. Well, Coach Lee, we appreciate you joining us. Let you get to your team, and thanks for taking out some time with us.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, thank you. Coach Cortez Lee of the Mills Comets. We appreciate him joining us and taking out some time, and we are looking forward to this ball game here tonight. And I think that's going to about do it for us. We got to break down and get back up there in the top of this press box to see my broadcast partner, Andy Gates, has made his way. Darius, what you got for us?
Before we go, when I say this is a state-of-the-art facility here, if I was a high school kid going here, I would cherish all this. This is the type of stuff we wish we had at
Right.
school.
Oh, yeah.
Especially the press box. I was lost.
Couldn't answer.
Listen, I was looking for y'all, and I was just walking to the press box. I was like, oh my God, this is so nice.
He's like, wait, did I pull up on a college
Listen,
campus?
we
We got a JUCO in Arkansas now?
we need to set recruit business up here.
Well, recruiting business. What you talking about recruiting? We don't recruit in Maumelle. And Mills definitely don't recruit. What you talking about? All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you joining us for our Natural State Sports pregame show. Hey, we're going to do this a few more times. Will's going to look at me funny, but next Friday we might do it for the Robinson-Maumelle game. The week after that, Mills-Robinson. Hey, we're going to have Will's like, I quit. I'm done. But now, for real, we appreciate you guys joining us. Make sure Mills fans, Mills Sports Network, Maumelle fans, Maumelle Sports Network. Let's have a little battle, see who gets the most views tonight. Let's have some fun with it. We appreciate you guys joining us. Go Hornets. Go Comets. We'll see you in just about an hour.
It's on.
Yes, sir.